What up, folks? Shadow Gauge here, or Too Lo-Fi, which is the new artist's name. Basically because I got tired of trying to explain to people how the hell you spell the word gauge. And frankly, if you don't know how to spell the word gauge, this tutorial is probably beyond you. I definitely do not do any low-level shit here. This is all, it's all upper-level shit. Let's just be honest here. I may not be the smartest person on the planet, but I might be the most intelligent, sadly enough. I wish to fucking God I was even exaggerating about that. Anyway, that is neither here nor there. I'm sure that as long as you have some background in music and some idea of how to do sound design, then you should have no problems following along with this. I do use, I'm just coming out of the closet with this, I am a Native Instruments whore. And if you do not use Native Instruments, if you don't own Complete, what the fuck are you doing trying to make music? You get proper software and do the shit right. And whatever. You mean, I can make good sound with anything. No, you can't. You really can't. You could make sound and then you could pay somebody to master your shit and get it sounding good. But, I'm broke as fuck and I'm not about to pay somebody to fix my sound when, the knowledge is out there, right? Granted, not too many YouTubers tend to share the high-level shit. I'm definitely more of a probably niche on this one. Nietzsche. We're going to talk about Nietzsche today. See, if you know anything about the whole idea of, Jesus and flying and missing the bugs. And anyway, it's a weird story. But I'm actually not getting into Nietzsche. I will be doing some sound design in, I'll be starting in the FM8, which, if you're familiar with the FM8, you probably, it's definitely not the easiest shiza to use. That is for sure. So, and I do want to talk a little bit about some of the concepts here. So I'm basically just, I'm not necessarily doing this for how to design a specific sound, but if you are doing sound design and you are trying to make a unique sound, modern unique sound that nobody else has, this is probably what you need to be looking at. Now, for this specific sound, I will be designing a donk type sound, just basically a quick staccato, a lead sound. So where this sound would fit in a song, if I pull up my MIDI here, you can tell I have it on the 1, the 3, and then a little bit, a couple over here. And you'll also notice that the fact of the matter is, if you're doing sound design, you're going to want to basically pick a note, and you're going to want to design for that note. So for this, I am designing in C because I am doing a couple things that I don't necessarily want to look at a sheet to see what my frequencies that I need to be paying attention to are in any other one, and I know what they are in C. So, which I do believe, we start 55, 110, 220, 440, etc. But I'm also going to be, basically, for whatever reason, I've kind of found that 110, 220, 330, 440, 550. If you're staying on those, they have a they have a very I don't know, desirable sound, so you'll get a desirable effect with that. So if I go into this, I basically am, I'm gonna start this from scratch, so I may not even get anywhere near the same sound, but I'm gonna go into the FM8 here and kind of explain some of what you can do with this. If you've ever tried to use the software, the fact of the matter is, if you don't have a PhD in physics, this is not going to make a lot of sense to you. And in fact, if you have a PhD in physics, you probably want to slap me because I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But, I've at least learned enough to realize that if I wanted to know what I'm talking about, I need to learn physics calculus. And anyway, I forget which one of these I'm on. I probably should have paid attention. But so anytime you have you have your FM matrix here, and that's exactly what happened. Actually, I think I had picked one, and then it wasn't what I picked. So yeah, no matter what I do here, this is not going to sound the same as it does now. But getting into it, I basically, from what I can tell, this is in serial, so not parallel. So you have A feeding into B, feeding into C, feeding into D, feeding into E, and then E and F I would assume are in parallel. Now, I don't know FM8 well enough to be like, that is how it is. But just from looking at this, having the understanding I have of how FM synthesis works, my assumption here is that I have a serial selection of 5 different waveforms in parallel with one waveform. So my parallel waveform is a formant. Now the other thing here is, if you notice, I have a 440 and 330. Like I said, and one is a full square, the other one is a formant. Now I just kind of picked those at random. There wasn't any rhyme or reason to any of this. Okay, this is just, I'm setting out to design a sound. I want the sound to be staccato. I want it to basically, it's going to be the first sound. It's going to be my lead sound. So on that one, on the start of every single loop or phrase, bar, well, not bar, however you want to loop. If you're at the dojo, then I can say the PVRD. So this is going to be your P and your V. So on those two, so that's your lead sound. That's going to be on the 1 and the 3. So out the door, okay? It's a staccato, it's quick, and it's basically, if you understand some of the more, I guess, nuances, this is your call, okay? So it's just a very quick call. One of the other, if you do want to look up some other sound design videos that, from people that know their shit, Barely Alive, those guys, they definitely, I highly recommend them. They are also fairly high level. Probably, I go out on a limb and say they actually probably know way more than I do. And of course, my information, 90% of it is very much my own information. So nobody told me how to do this. This is from painstaking failure after failure after failure until all of a sudden I stopped failing. Anyway, so just to kind of cover the basics, what it is. So I'm going to design my waveform here, and this is my pre-processing. Then we go into post-processing. Okay, so for post-processing. Now, I've done a few things that I basically wanted to control the note length because of, for a few reasons. So the first thing we get into, you notice I am messing up this sound. I am taking a sound that is already fairly unique to begin with, and I am messing it up. So let's just hear where this is to begin with. I'm just gonna head turn everything off, and I hope this isn't too loud. It probably is. Oh, you can barely hear it. Okay. But if I turn the note length off, let's see, what does that sound? Okay, so as you see, it's not a good sound. It's a very basic sound. You know, but it's got character to it, which is what I was kind of going for. So the first stage I'm calling my metallics stage because I'm getting a metallic sound out of it. And after that, I'm basically doing, you know, if you know Nyquist, you know, this is his basic design for your EQ compression settings. And then, of course, I'm going into an aught, which is, it's about to get way louder. And there's where the magic is. And it's only because I mangled the sound. And then, of course, I want to go into a GClip because I want to be clipping it. So that way it's loud and it's controlled. And then I almost always will throw the PTEX. If you don't have that, just get it. It's free. Thank you, Andrew Huang. I think I said your name right. He's watching him. He's the one that, you know, kind of, I guess, introduced me to the PTEQX. And it's a great sound design. So for whatever reason, just throwing the PTEQX, whatever, I forget what the actual, here, let's go ahead and pull it up here so we can look at it. Yes, the Ignite Amps PTEQX, okay? This is basically, it's modeled sound off of a tube amp, and I'm not even doing anything to the sound. It's just, I'm just throwing this on at the end. I might adjust it. I probably won't though, just because. But let's go ahead and let's get into this. Now I'm just going to go ahead and we're just going to turn all these off because I am going to start from the beginning here. And, you know, like I said, because this is concepts. I'm not showing you how to make a sound. I'm showing you how to make your own sound. And I mean, you could use, fact of the matter is, you could use, Ableton's operator is an FM synth, just like the FM8. But you're going to get a much better sound out of the FM8. That's just, you know, my personal opinion is no matter how hard you try, you're not going to get a good sound out of the operator. I know, oh, you can get a good sound out of it. Well, you can, but, you know, it's gonna be a lot easier to get a good sound off of anything else. So anyway, go ahead and kill those. Let's see, make sure my FM8 is off, make sure that is off. So let's just go ahead and I am going to find my FM8 here, make a new channel. And how does this sound right off the bat? That is just a basic wave. Okay, so if we go into the FM8, first thing I'm going to go down here is ops. Okay, and I'm going to want to pick a matrix. Let's just let's go ahead and let's see, 5 number 12. So here we go. This is, you know, I just picked one at random. This is kind of why I like this. So as you can see, we have A, B, and C in parallel, which is in serial to D, E, and F. Okay, so in this circumstances, I am going to make F a harmonic. make it my 8th format, and then I am also going to make C a harmonic, basically, or a format, and I'm going to use the 4th. Okay, so with F, I'm going to go ahead and change the frequency on this one to 440, just because, and then on C, I'm going to go ahead and change it to 330. Maybe. Maybe I won't, maybe I will. Okay, so with those offsets, just here, let's see where we're at now. You notice I've basically made noise. Woohoo! And I don't want noise. I really don't want noise. So let's go ahead, and this first one I'm gonna go with a soft square, and for the second one I'm just gonna go okay, so here's another thing, 1 3. Okay, so if you notice we have these two little humps here, 2 in the bottom. That's going to go ahead and give me a fairly it's gonna give me a full sound. So with that, I'm going to get a full sound. Let's see here. Let's go ahead with another soft square, except for this time I'm gonna go into a let's just do triangle. Key sync, invert. I don't even know where my Alright, so that's sounding there we go. We have it. We have a unique sound, very quiet. And you know, this too is like, this kind of shows you where your spectrums are. Let's see. I can also, I'm gonna go ahead and pull these up. Oh wait, that's my velocity. I don't necessarily want to do that. What happens if I bring the ratio up here? See, I don't even know what this does. I'm just gonna play with it. You know, do I really need to know what it does? Meh. Well, it looks like I'm probably going to be designing this for E. What happens? Sounds good. Sounds good. Actually, you can probably barely hear it. You're like, well, I don't hear anything. Let's see what happens if I change this. That's nothing. But we don't necessarily want to be making a... Let's see. There we go. How about that? I just feel I'm probably too low. Oh, whoops. What am I doing? Okay, let's just put that at 2, because I'm curious. We're just making random shit now. Okay, so at this point, it really doesn't matter what the sound is. We're just kind of, you know, making something. I don't even necessarily know if I like this. So let's just hear what it sounds like this one. Start going through some of these. Huh. All right, let's just say I'm going to go ahead and actually zero this one out. And then I'm going to make this one 330. Like I said, I mean, you know, it's kind of hit or miss on a lot of this, you know. So this is just getting a sound that is somewhat not crappy. And that's really kind of what we're going here. So I'm just going to change this to a... I'm actually going to change this to a soft square. And change this one to a 5th format. 10th format. Maybe change this one to 10th format. Change this one to 8th. And that one to 4th. All right, why not? Alright, so now we get to make all these. So we're going to go in each one and we are going to adjust the envelope so we get a staccato sound. And we'll adjust a couple of these here, just kind of, you know, get something kind of unique. Okay, so essentially we've just taken random, I don't know how I'm using this, I'm just plugging in numbers and hitting random shit, right? Because it's really the post-processing that is the most important part. Now, after you've gotten through this part, let's see, do I want to move this anywhere? Okay, that sounds good. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to mangle this sound with an EQ. And first thing I'm going to do here is let's crank up the lows. And then I'm going to crank down the high. And really, I use this ladder a lot, to be honest with you. Just because in the end, when everything's said and done, the frequencies I'm taking out here are going to be brought back in. Okay? And of course, the frequencies at the end are going to be pushed out. Now, go ahead and put this over here. Bring this down. I'm going to switch this to that. Go like boom. And then I'm going to go ahead and do that. And maybe come down here. And let's go ahead and spike some of this. Why is 2 not? Oh. Because 1 is. Alright, so bring this down a little. There, now we have somewhat of, you know, just kind of a unique thing there. Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to want to saturate the shit out of this. So whether you use a saturator, you know, for this specific one, let's see, I'm going to go through my plugins here because I'm just randomly designing shit. I think for my saturation, I'm going to go ahead and I could go with the dirt, I go with the driver, I go with the bite, you know, or I can come over here to Fab Filters. I got a few in Fab Filter that, you know, I can go with the Saturn. The Saturn's not a bad one. Same thing. I've loved the Tape Mello. I could use the saturator on that. Use that for some tape saturation. You know, actually, why don't I do that? Why don't I do that? Throw this on here because, you know, I mean, like I said, we're just these are going over concepts. So I'm hoping that this sound doesn't suck because otherwise, you know, I apologize. It might suck. You never know. When you go through this, it's always possible. So let's crank the drive up here. And we're going to crank the output up. Take the filter off. Maybe put the war up, put the noise up, tone, turn the drive up. There we go. There, we have like just a nasty sounding sound. Like that just does not sound good, right? Okay, so, and that's a little bit of saturation. That's definitely some lo-fi flavor there, but that's not enough. That's definitely not enough. Let's see. What do I want to do from this? I think for this part, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to use the bite. I am going to use my bit killer here. So basically the bite is a, it's your, whatever your bit, you know, your bit distortion. Oh, ha ha ha. Why am I not producing any sound? Oh, right. And then you kind of hear that static there. So, anytime you are using, like if I'm using the Tape Mello here, and this is, you know, kind of comes into sound design 101. So because I have added line noise to this, I'm going to want to gate that line noise. So that way, I'm going to turn the jitter up. And now be prepared. that is the reason I actually added the that's the reason I added, where's my MIDI plugins there? That's the reason I added the note length on here, because I really don't want, I don't want that sound. All right, so now we've got a very, just, I mean, I don't know what kind of sound we're designing here, but, it's going to be something that is, it'll sound good at the end, I think. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come in here and I'm going to add another NI plugin. One of my favorites here is the Raum. Now, the reason I am adding the Raum is actually for the cosmic setting. For this, I'm going to turn the pre-delay up a little bit. And the pre-delay, that's basically how we're going to be, dialing in the sound. That's just dirty. That is straight dirty right there. And then, like I said, I was saying, doing this, I don't know what kind of sound I'm going to get with this, but this is a basic concept here because, I mean, it's like whatever song this sound makes it into is going to be like probably really heavy, really dirty. But I don't necessarily... And another thing we can do here, let's go ahead and actually, I'm going to go ahead and come in here to my, where are my instruments? What is wrong with myself? I could use the tuner, but I'm going to use the Spectrum because it's just... Alright, I'm starting to like that sound. So like, that'll sound crazy when we get. See, that's the other thing with this is once I make this sound, I'm just making it for one note. I'm going to take that, and basically from there, if I want to use it on, if I want to use any other tones with it, I'm going to be changing it. I'm going to be changing it the waveform, not the note, because it's only going to make the sound literally. I'm hitting different keys, and you know the key. Doesn't really make much of a difference. Okay. So anyway, let's go ahead and get rid of this. Now another thing I'm going to do here, because I want movement in my sound. I don't want it to, you know, it's going to be, while there's already some movement, thing is, I don't want it to sound the same every time I hit it. If we're talking that this is a guitar, you know, you can strum the same note 100 times and you're going to get 100 different sounds. And that's what I want here, because, you know, we're talking high level sound design here. This information is not for chumps, yo. So anyway, I'm going to go into my plugins, and in order to do that, I'm actually going to add a phaser. This is also going to give me some stereo width to it. But one thing about the phasers, I don't necessarily want to be phasing everything. So if I'm adding a phaser, I want to group the phaser. I want to go in here and I want to create another channel. Okay, then I can go into the phaser, pull this up, and you know, it's still quite dirty. Let's see, I just want see, you imagine if like bow wow 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 wow, some shit like that. I don't know. That's what I can hear in my head. You know, you don't want to be in my head. It sounds dirty, folks. It's just a lot of noise. A lot of noise. Okay, so now that we've done that, I want to compress this. Now, one of my go-tos here, I'm just gonna use this supercharger. It's easy. Now, one of the other things here, if you've watched any of my other tutorials, I've probably pounded this into your head. You always want to be at 0 decibels. Now, if you notice this little green light here that comes on, that's telling me that my sound is where I need it to be. Where is this at? Negative 18 decibels. Why is it negative 18 decibels? Because negative 18 decibels is actually 0 decibels. And all this stuff, doesn't matter where it is. Actually, I'm questionable as to whether some of the newer stuff coming out where you have people that don't, I guess, probably are not aware of the Nyquist or any of his writings. Probably are not using the conversion correctly. And I'm going to go ahead and crank this up to about 1.5, just slight compression. But then I'm also going to bring this down like negative 12 decibels. Roughly. No, I'm OCD. I'm gonna. Okay, so that's probably good. Now, to end this off, I'm going to come in here, and I am actually going to add a dynamic. Well, no, let me pull up my limiters here. I'm just adding this negative 18 decibels because I just want to make sure that I'm like clipping slightly here. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna group these just because makes it easier in the long run. Next thing I'm going to do is, now the next phase, this is your basic Nyquist formula here. EQ, compressor, and EQ. Okay, so for this, I want to cut the ends off here. Now, one of the things to keep in mind is this first EQ is subtractive. So anything I'm doing here, it's going to be subtractive. I'm going to go ahead and bring this down. Another thing, you know, always keep in mind is I'm going to go with -6. And then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to put this at 1. Okay, it's still a little too wide. I don't ever really want to go past 3 though. So 3 is going to be my max here. So cleaning up. Yeah, that sounds a little better. And I'm going to go ahead and bring this down. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I want to make sure I'm getting a specific amount of compression on this. So, also I'm going to bring this up a little. So I'm going to bring this one up to 4 decibels. And then I'm going to crank this to about 1. Should be fine. See, where's this one? This is what? 440, see? That's funny, I knew that. I actually knew that before. I was like, where does it sound the best? 440, because that's where I made it sound the best. So let's just go ahead and get this one. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our 5 here. So I'm going to turn this up probably to 12. It goes up to 9. Okay, that's fine. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use our additive. So for this, for the additive part, very likely, actually I don't want that to be, I'm just going to do this. So we're going to go ahead and do that at 4. We're going to do this at, well, let's say 1.5. And, let's see. So 8K, what is this? So 440, 880, 16, 32. So I'm actually going to bring this down to about 6,500. Should be. You know, and I'm actually gonna come down here and I'm actually gonna put this about 110. Because I really, and I'm gonna crank that just a little. I'm gonna keep it under 3 though. And then I'm gonna keep this at -6 as well. Because you don't really want to go past -6 or 4. It's just the fact of the matter is. Maybe bring this up a little. And there's a sweet spot there that I'm looking for. It's kind of, if you imagine, if we're talking about formants, you have like that sound. So when I'm dialing this in, that's really what I'm looking for. Is I want that sound, kind of because this is going to be a lead sound, and I want it to kind of stick out. So because that, I'm trying to focus on that specific format. Obviously, if it's E, that's going to be piercing. So try and stay away from like any formants that are like E, and of course anything you want in the background, you want O is basically O, U formats, but A, like those are going to be your upfront formats. So those are basically going to stick out in the mix. And that's, you know, like I said, this is going to be a lead staccato. So because of that, I want it to stick out. Because I want it to stick out, I want a very specific format. So essentially, now that I've done that, I am going to go ahead and throw another, let's see, I need a dynamic on this. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw this back on so I can basically complete this circuit. Now, because I've done what I've done, I've basically, you know, there's other ways to go about this. My specific intention in this one is to use over-the-top compression to bring out, basically to bring out the flavor of this sound. So as it is, now everything is kind of dialed in. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to add these together and group these. So Control G here. And go ahead and, oh, I don't know why I did that. There we go. So it's kind of sounds duller on this one, and that is perfect because I'm gonna add this on. I'm gonna go ahead, take the time down, take this down. And you can tell each time I hit it, it has a slightly different sound to it. It is fairly wide at this point, and it's kind of quiet. So for the end of this, I am going to basically just come over here. Oh wait, where's my plugin? And well, you know, first thing I'm going to do actually, I'm going to drop utility on this because I'm sure I don't want it as wide as it is. That's probably about good. So yeah, punch. Okay, so to finish this off, we're going to go over here and we are just going to add the last little bit of flavor to the mix, which is this PTEX. And this is what I'm going to control most of my shiza with. Go ahead and turn it up to 2x, and then over here with this output, this is basically where you turn it up. So oh, you know what? I did forget something here. So after this utility, actually, I'm going to want to add, I'm going to go ahead and add this GClip because I do want to be clipping. Okay. But I don't want to be clipping. I just want to be clipping. Controlled clipping. I'm also going to turn this to 2x, bring that down out there, and then I can just turn this up. I want to be clipping that one. Cow, 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 cow. Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Bo cow, 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 cow. Boom, boom. Go cow, cow, go cow, cow, cow. Pa-pa-pa-pa-pa. Anyway. It's like, what the fuck is this dude doing? Anyway. Okay, so. There we go. We've got a. I mean, we've got a unique sound. I'm not. You know, to be fair, I in all honesty, I don't necessarily like this sound, and you know, there's things I could have done differently. It's definitely a lo-fi sound, like kind of a, you know, if I use this is gonna be in a like a very dirty, grimy track, which if you listen to my music is most of it. I do like me some grime, some of that UK garage grime type stuff. A lot of yes, I do a lot of what I listen to, a lot of what I love. Is this kind of minimal? I'll turn this down actually. Oh yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's you know, basic concepts there. So now I want to go see how close I got with this one. Where I was at, I don't even know which one of these I was on, which matrix I was on. It's definitely on one of the 5 ones. Let's see. 151. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, no, 11, no, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, you know, I may have been using my own on this one. I think I used my own on this one. I don't think I picked a random one. Maybe I picked one of these. Hey, parallel and. That's weird. I go with this one. I don't know. Anyway, there are definite options here. If you're in the, if you're actually in the operator has very similar options to these. Huh. Yeah, see, this is where I don't even, not even sure how to do this stuff correctly. You know, I'm going to read a manual on this and probably share some of this. Let's what happens if I'll stick these two sounds together? Boom. Oh, this sound isn't even on. Well, it is, but... yeah, it's about the same sound, actually. Not too far off. But anyway, so, you know, like I said, that's just basic concepts for sound design. You're going to want to make sure when you're going through this that you're basically... you can very easily, like, if I were to say not use a limiter here, or not, you know, if I just had this EQ on my output, whatever it sounds like when I play it is not how it's going to sound in a mix, and it's not how it's going to sound any other way. So it's just, anytime, you know, if you've watched my other sound designs, you'll notice it's like you're always going to want to use some form of a dynamic function, whether it be compressor, whether it be a limiter, yada yada yada, after you EQ. Otherwise, you're going to run into issues. And, you know, maybe not so much anymore. I don't know. It's, back in the day I did. Maybe things got fixed, and maybe I'm, you know, maybe I'm misassociating things. But, yeah, I mean, I guess it's not my information. It would definitely be Nyquist's information. And, yeah, and in retrospect, thinking back on it, no, I'm pretty sure up until I learned that shit, my shit did not sound right. Okay. So moving on, though, that is not the end of our session, because now I want to go ahead, I'm going to click on this, and I'm just going to drag this out 33 bars, okay? And God, it's funny, it doesn't. Okay, so now I'm going to add an audio track. I'm going to go ahead, I am going to feed this one into the audio track, put this in. I'm just going to record the audio track. Let it record. So you can do this. You can render this out however you want to do it. Like I said, I'm just recording. I'll go ahead and let it finish this second round here. But you notice every sound is different. So I will have a bunch of these that are just not, none of them are the same. So, okay. Now that I've done that, what is the point of that? Well, essentially, if I want to change the tone of this now, I don't want to be using, obviously I can't do anything by changing the MIDI note. The MIDI note's not going to change anything. So if I want to change the pitch, then I'm going to have to go in here, and I'm going to go ahead and take this off of take it off warp, completely off warp, and put this on auto. And just cut this up and basically change the pitch. That sounds fucking awesome. Anyway, okay, so essentially there we've done sound design. These are concepts. Like I said, my whole point in this was to make a staccato lead. So if I have a drum beat here, let's just go ahead, I'm just going to pick some samples here. I'm not even going to bother with anything, you know, because I want to hear how this sounds before I go, you know, going check. We are good as a monk on this biatch. All right, so I don't want to stretch this over because, you know, I just don't. Then it's gonna mess up everything. It's all nice and like perfect. Perfection is perfect. Okay. So, oh wait, no, I know why. I want. Fine. Where are they at? There they are. Alright, here's some drum and bass samples. We need some beats. Break beat. Good enough. Alright, so for the meantime, what did I put this on? I don't even want that much of a tail here, so I'm going to clip this tail. Clip it down. Bring this here. Okay. For now, I'm going to turn this off. But I basically got a nice, you know, nice selection, so I basically can pick from several of those, and they're, you know, as long as I'm not using the same one, then I'm good, you know. And that's the other thing too. So after I've done this, I can come in here and I can actually turn warp on, and I'm going to click on yes, and except I'm not going to go, let's just get a repitch here because, you know, yada yada yada, but I'm going to go ahead and turn loop on. Now what that does, if I go here, I'm just going to take this and I'm going to stretch it all the way to the back here and have this all the way to the other end. Now what I can do is I can just go ahead and drag this around. So okay. So actually, let's go ahead and put this on complex because I actually want to transpose this biatch. So let's just go ahead, pick the range we're in, and let's bring it down 5. So anyway, yeah, there's some, you know, like I said, you can apply all these concepts any way, shape, or form you want, but what there is, you want to make sure you are pretty much covering all your bases with all of these. So you want a sound that is unique, that is, you know, I mean, you don't necessarily need to be random. But in this scenario, I was just going random. I know a little more than I'm letting on. We'll say. But I'm not trying to be like a know-it-all here. I mean, this fact of the matter is, the level which I know shit, you don't need to know any of this. There's no point in it. At least not if maybe if you're maybe if you're a neuroscientist or working on space travel, then yeah. But we're talking about music here, so let's be artistic. We don't need anything that's not. We don't need knowledge. We don't need to know what the fuck we're doing. We just need to know when it sounds good, and that's basically it. So and we'll go ahead and copy this here. Let's just make a full beat. Or I guess there. We got 4 of them. Now, to demonstrate this, go ahead, click here. I'm just going to go ahead and move this around. And let's see. Booyaka, booyaka, jungles passé. Yeah, booyaka, booyaka, jungles passé. What? Oh gosh, that is a great movie though. Oh, that one looks interesting. Yeah, okay, that works. And then I said, let's go back on this one. Oops. There. That's just dirty right there at the end now. That's how I'm going. Oh yeah! That's what I'm talking about. Sorry, I'm like, hey, I like this sound. Anyway. Well, yeah, so there you go. Those are my design concepts number 2. And yeah, I don't think there's really, I mean, I could keep going. Fact of the matter is I could keep going on this and adding to it. And, I could, I'm sure I could talk for a week and not even cover half of the shit I know, let alone a even percentile of the knowledge that's out there. My knowledge is my own. I can at least take credit for that. I actually, Mr. Dylan, Mr. Ill Gates, Ill motherfucking Gates, he did, I made sure to listen to a few things, and, I think it was a couple of the late night sessions where I was just bored watching him produce, and he kind of dropped a few knowledge bombs on me, which I'm very thankful for. My God, but outside of that, outside of a couple, he outside of a few of the more specific instances. Most of this, yeah, I guess I can't really take credit for a lot of this. I was like, most of this is my own work after going through a, master's degree worth of information, unfortunately, and reading the books. So I guess it's probably not all me. But at the same time, the application of all of this is pretty much, I mean, it's my way. You can apply it however you want, but you do kind of need to stick to some of the main rules, which, if you're going to break your sound, fix your sound. If you're going to be using line noise, make sure you're using a gate to lock out the line noise when you're not, because if I get rid of this gate, give it a minute. Oh, that's even broken. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that sound is, gate that shit. It's funny you can't hear the sound. It's very much there, but it's very inaudible. Interesting. Interesting. Actually, I'm sure if I left it on long enough, you would eventually be able to hear it. But anyway, I guess that's probably all I have for this. Hopefully, you found some things you could use. Hopefully, you know, hopefully I'm not rambling to myself. Hopefully, somebody out there will find this useful. Either way, Shadow Gauge out. Make sure to check out some of my music. Too Lo-Fi. And yeah, I guess that's all. Do 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 do. Yeah, watch Space. Shit, I can't believe I just messed that up. I think my brain's dead after that session. Anyway, Too Lo-Fi out, Shadow Gauge out. There's two of me here, just in case you were wondering. No, whatever. Shadow Gauge is me and my online persona. Too Lo-Fi is what you can find my music under. Hell, you can still find it under Shadow Gauge too. Shameless self promotions are done.